Anum Asi is a fiction writer from Karachi, Pakistan. She is an alum of the LUMS Young Writers Workshop and Vona Voices Fiction Workshop. She is currently at work on a book of short stories that may or may not be morphing into a novel. She also didn't think this was important, apparently, so I'm going to just freestyle and tell you that she has a master's degree in sociology from Columbia. And her husband flew all the way from Pakistan last week just to be here for this reading. So it's really important.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody for being here, and thank you for everybody who put this on. So this is from the aforementioned no longer book of short stories, now definitely perhaps a novel. Uh, perhaps. It's called The Visitors. I live alone in a New York apartment. Things pile up on the hardwood floors. The windows are painted shut to their frames. There is no such thing as fresh air. Mold grows in the bathroom. The walls bubble with whitewash. Small coins of light slip through the blinds to dapple the walls. My sheets are always damp and my towels smell faintly. My sister used to do our laundry, but she is gone. So I keep watch with a book over my clothes at the laundromat down the street, but still lose underwear. It isn't what my mother wants for me. Outside, a layer of piss lies over the streets. Dog owners at night leave little knobs of poop behind. Thank God I work from home and don't have to take the subway. But I'm almost done with my contract. Even this could be taken from me at any moment. I've been talking online to a guy named Ali, and I agreed to meet him, although my first interaction with him had not been auspicious. That's how I said it on my WhatsApp group with Zinat, Dania, and Mariam. Not auspicious, guys. He told me that he wasn't like the rest of the assholes on the dating app. You'll see, he texted. And I was a bit scared to see, I told the girls. But why not? I've decided to date Desis again, even though Zenith and Dania keep warning me that Mariam has taken the last good one. But I had a chat with Mom on the phone the other day and was struck with nostalgia and the possibility of pleasing her, a feeling I had otherwise left behind when I moved to New York 3 years ago. Mom wants babies and marriage. I try to explain how I feel, how in some deep ocean somewhere far away, coral bleaches brittle and white and breaks off into chunks that float around the whole world anchorless. How children cut their feet on those chunks one day on a blasted, fuming seashore, drifting noxious vapors, overhung with orange skies. She is not convinced. But faced with my birthday stacking up, faced with only one son-in-law to look forward to, has to keep a more open mind. At 20, I would never have mentioned my boyfriend to my mother. At 30, I explained Tinder and Muzmatch. Mom is not a fan of the focus on sex on Tinder, but is afraid the boys on Muzmatch might be too Muslimy. They should be Pakistani, but nothing too crazy is the idea. It's more about being brown, I assure her. I keep her up to date with the guys who message me, even the ones who go straight to sex. I hope this highlights the dearth of options and tempers her expectations. But the sexy stuff does not faze my mother. She just goes on pretending that sex does not apply to me. Zenith visits while all this is happening and gets herself an Airbnb. If it was Dania visiting, I would have rolled the two of us into my damp sheets on my twin bed and given her my own towel to use. Dania is easy, likes to bum around in her PJs, has a great big heart for people's weaknesses, though maybe this is because she doesn't actually look at you long enough to judge you, is terribly affectionate, but in a non-demanding way, affection given away like to a dog or a cat, without complications or expectations, without troubling herself too much, does what she wants and says what's on her mind and doesn't care what you do or think, can live out of a suitcase indefinitely and not complain. But Zenith looks at everything and compares you to herself. She is big-hearted too, but knows the value of her heart and only her heart and time, and only gives them to you if she judges you worthy. She doesn't think it's right that people aren't honest. She wants to know exactly what you're thinking. She wants you to tell her. She is proper and put together and likes to unpack everything, even for a weekend away. She lines up tiny bottles of shampoo and conditioner on top of the commode in the Airbnb and hangs up her sweaters and slides her compact, expensive carry-on suitcase under the bed. She tells me that I shouldn't use this face wash, but that. She smoothens out the blankets twisted into ropes on my sofa when she visits and folds them and puts them away. I don't want any of that in my apartment. I don't want her to see the lotions jumbled up in a basket in my bathroom, or the sweaters on the floor of my closet, or the 2 giant suitcases that I lug to JFK every winter on my trips home, hulking in a corner of my bedroom. Also, my sister has been visiting on and off for the last few nights. Nothing concrete, just a phrase or two floating out from under the corner of the carpet in my living room, a few words hanging in the air around me, and I don't want Zenith to know about that either. Zenith comes to pick me up for dinner once she's settled. I buzz her in, shouting through the intercom and then holding down the listen button. I'm not coming up, let's just go straight, she says, her voice carrying calm and clean through the intercom. Downstairs, I find her standing on the street, away from the stoop, holding a cigarette as far from her body as it will go. I hate the smell, she says, and then she shrieks belatedly, and we hug. How are you doing? She asks, and I am glad that she has come out and asked it, because then I can tell her that I'm totally fine. It's been so long, I add. Zenith looks exactly like herself, wearing jeans and a thick white cotton shirt that makes me wonder how she keeps it clean. She curves over her own arm in a comma shape to get to the smoke. It's like this. And takes a drag with lips exaggeratedly pursed. I tell her that I'm excited to see her. I tally up all the ways she's changed, all the ways in which she is different from me, all the ways in which she is the same. I make note of her hair, her skin, her accent. I remember falling asleep in her dorm room over a coffee while we studied hopelessly into the night. Over dinner, she convinces me to go for a drink with Ali. He's texted, would I come over to the west side to meet him when his class lets out? I'll come with, she says, but I'll stay away from you guys, promise. Zenith draws all the light in a room toward herself. Even at this table, stuck in a corner of the dim restaurant, she frills and flutters without paying any attention to it, sucking into herself the gazes of others, or the waitress standing with one hip cocked and her notebook out, and the man at the table next to ours, steam from hot ramen rising into his face, even of the girl at the bar across the room, who is so autonomous and self-reliant in her black sweater and black pants. Even she shoots narrow darts of attention that find a path through all the bodies in the restaurant to be absorbed into Zenith, that goes straight across the whole heaving, crowded, loud room without error. The bar is long, low, orange-lighted, filled with students who are sleek and well-dressed compared to the history majors I went out with at school. Ali arrives later than he had said he would be. I am confused to see that his friends are with him, but they go off to another section of the bar. I'm fuzzy enough now to be interested and interesting. It seems worth it to make an effort to explain myself to a new person all over again, even though I know that it will be all fragments, all stories, nothing whole or complete. Still, I am ready to try, to throw a line to him and to help him feel his way along it until he understands something of me. Or I am at the end of the line, not drowning, but at a loss, and he will draw me back to land. With each divulgence that he accepts, each confidence, hand over hand, he will bring me back to the shore where other people stand, all the rest of humanity, where they talk in sentences as clear as light and make known their intentions without hesitation and laugh at the same thing as each other and stand shoulder to shoulder to look at the past. Ali gets himself a drink, nods off a joke to one of his friends. He throws his smile wide into the corner where they stand. But come, I say to him, and slip my hand into his hand. I lead him out of the noisy bar, hand him a cigarette. Now tell me, I say, about your mother who disapproves of you. I feel arch, excited. I feel the air around me vibrating, catch a shaft of orange light from the door, and stand in its path. This is where you end, I say to the light, on me. But he looks away. He looks into the bar. He wants to be with the music, the dancing. Girls inside are laughing. Notes of music fall out of the door and scurry around his feet. They pluck at the bottoms of his pants, climb up onto his legs. He lights the cigarette finally, but he is not convinced of it. Then everything is spoiled. Nothing is exciting. Eventually, Zenith finds me, and we head back home. In the subway station, I lean against a pillar, My knees loose, my head heavy. Trains rumble by on the track opposite. Now that we drink, confessions are easier. I can't believe that there are so many things we have never talked about. There was a vast pit after college where closeness had sunk. We had a WhatsApp group, shared selfies and memes, fell in love and out of it, fell sick and became well, passed through and out and through despair again, and shared only a pale approximation of it all with each other. Now Zenith has moved to Toronto, and we are on the same continent again. We droop in the humid subway, trains roar past, people stand too close. We call up walks around campus in the cold, wearing pajamas and blankets, trysts on the benches under the trees while the sun beat down and we sweated through our clothes, hour after hour outside the cafeteria, waiting for something to happen or someone to notice us. I feel us connected. Through the heat, I feel us held together. I want to be back at the bench with all of them. I want to think that love is the only salient layer. Laugh loudly, fall in each other's laps, feel one body with many limbs, jealous of other people looking in and spoiling it, protective of our dirty jokes, our silly obsessions, held together in a circle of steel. Zenith props her shoulder against mine and sighs. I love her. I want to go home by myself. Back home, I lie on the couch in the living room. The lamp in the corner opposite throws my shadow onto the back of the couch, nose exaggerated into a beak, and the shadow moves, as I read, mouthing the words of the book along with me. All is still, and every now and then I glance at my shadow as it silently reads the book that I hold up. The corner of the carpet, too, is quiet. It hasn't spoken in a few days, but I avoid it still. Take care not to step on it. Take care not to even look that way. I have never liked ghost stories, and now I'm in the middle of one. Then it's morning, and a sunny day rises slowly into the sky. 4 rectangle blocks of light slide up and fall through the window into ripples on the bed where Zenith lies, face down, elbows bent by her side. She fell asleep as soon as we walked in the door, was in no state to go to her Airbnb, and I was surprised to realize that she was drunker, more undone than me. Ali said he wants to meet me again, I tell her. She only mumbles. I glance at the corner of the carpet and then up at the ceiling. I don't look at my shadow beside me. I feel that underneath the whole world lies something unknown, something that moves and heaves and sometimes breathes. I can feel it waiting behind the warp and weft of daily life, behind talk, behind drink, behind memories, can feel it massing densely, inevitably, behind the shining day that is stringing itself out beyond the window, as if it were a present, ordered especially for me, and finally at my door. The promise of the sunshine falls away as the morning turns into afternoon, and the bright sky buttons itself into gray clouds. Zenith wakes straight from sleep into chair, rushes off the bed and into the shower, rattles, sings, borrows my clothes, makes them look expensive just by wearing them. It's Saturday, she says. What shall we do? And I'm ashamed of my grumpiness and my hangover and consent to make pancakes, consenting thereby to her presence in my apartment. But I'm nervous. It's almost 2 p.m. and my sister likes to visit in the afternoon. I find this strange to have the long hours of the night to myself and then to be beset and confronted in the middle of the sunshine, to see while eating lunch a shadow puddled and moving on the corner of the carpet where no shadow should be, or while struggling with computer code for some problem at work, my own reflection in the laptop screen, but heftier, enlarged, as if someone is standing behind me looking at my work. For weeks I have been waiting for her to show up properly, but she is stubborn, teat as always, and only comes when she wants, and only to the degree that pleases her. And I am left waiting and alone, the whole apartment damp with my desire, sweated through by fear. Zenith and I spend the rest of the day out. Want to get a drink, she asks, and I say yes. Want to go to the Met gift shop? And I say yes. Want to get hot dogs and eat them in the park, and we walk around for the rest of the day with damp patches on our butts from the grass. I am glad to hand myself over to her, to be outside and walking by rows of pale houses, through the golden light pooling over buildings and cars as the day ends. We tramp all over the city, Zenith marking time on her fitness tracker. She tells me about her boss who thanks everyone by name at the end of every meeting but not her, and the guy who got her on a Skype call with his mom after their second date, and watching me closely, her cousin whose daughter has just passed away. She laughs about Danya working through all the available guys in her small Canadian town after her divorce and then being set up with her ex on a blind date. Reminds me that Mariam is sensitive about wishing Hashim on his birthday. Asks me if I think it's a good idea to get laser hair removal. It's not. I walk by her silently, and I walk by her silently, and I'm almost able to forget that she is there. I begin to love the close of this chilly day, the water from a sudden shower dampening my shoes, walking quietly as if I am alone. Coming up on Queensboro Bridge against a vision of the city dotted through with blazing lights, buildings reflected in each other's glass faces, halfway up into the sky, knowing that Zenith will probably come home with me again. Zenith is in the kitchen decanting Chinese food from its cardboard boxes into bowls and plates when my sister finally appears. I am surprised to see that she is nothing but a tattered cloak, nothing of the heft of real life, claws inside and bones and not arranged in the way that you would expect a person to be arranged, and a beak somewhere in the direction of the face, and something purple. I can't tell. I'm looking at the carpet, at the spot where her feet ought to be. How could you leave me? I finally asked the tattered cloak, as if continuing an earlier conversation. How could you leave me? The cloak replies. Her voice seems to emerge as before from under the left-hand edge of the carpet and wafts around the room. I can't turn my back on her. What if she changes into something else? So I don't. But I don't look at her either. The cloak falls all the way to the floor and pools, creased with dust, underneath our more sharp things. How did you leave? I ask. And from under the edge of the carpet flows up the dusty reply. How did you stay? How did I stay? Something to do with supplements, maybe, or maybe exercise, or genetics, or healthy breakfast, or healthy every day, or high-intensity interval training, or crossword puzzles, or a DNA test that told me to take an aspirin daily because my blood was prone to coagulate in my veins, or nothing at all. I don't know, I say aloud. Zenith is in the kitchen, I add lamely. The cloak shifts a bit, and there is the sound of grinding and cracking from under it. Without really moving, she seems to look around. There's no one else here, she says, just you. Anger finally comes. What do you want? I say. The cloak disappears between one blink and the next. Zenith comes in with the food a moment later and looks at my face askance. You okay? She asks. Were you talking to someone? I shake my head no and reach for a plate and a fork. We are halfway through our meal and some old TV show on Netflix when the carpet lifts up its corner lip and a voice floats out. I want to live, I want to live, I want to live, I want to live. It drifts through the apartment until the TV show is over. After dinner, Zenith drops her clothes on my bathroom floor and climbs into a pair of my pajamas. She had cleaned up the dinner without making conversation and told me she was staying the night without asking my opinion of it. She keeps stealing looks at me while I brush my teeth and change my clothes. Once we are in bed, she takes off her socks and warms the cold soles of her feet against my calves. It's okay, she says. It's going to be okay. Danya, alerted by Zenith, messages on our group chat. We love you, she says. We're here. I'll call tomorrow, promises Mariam. I feel angry. I feel unconvinced. What do you know? I think. I feel held within the circle of love, but something in me remains aloof, a part of my brain sitting away above, like a cold, appraising, tallying little god, legs crossed and palms resting on kneecaps, making note of everything and being moved by none of it. Thank you.